We'll do this. When we come back here, Rush Limbaugh, the EIB Network, and Open Line Friday. How are you? Welcome back. It's Rush Limbaugh, and it's Open Line Friday, and we go to the phones. As promised, we're going to start in Springfield, Illinois, with Brian. Welcome, sir. Great to have you here.
Hey, Rush. Honor and a privilege.
Thank you.
20-year listener, first-time caller.
I appreciate that.
You made me think a lot about this Wisconsin thing and about how the citizens are paying their salaries.
Right.
And it made me think about the NFL and how I'm a big supporter of the NFL, and maybe we need some representation there, the fans, on some of these negotiations.
Well, in this case, you can make the analogy, of course, of private sector union negotiations versus public. But in the case of the public sector unions, the payment is direct. It goes from the back pocket of the taxpayer right to the employee. And that guy does have no choice about paying his taxes. He has no choice. Whatever the state tax rate is, he got to pay it. You can choose whether or not to buy a jersey. You can choose whether or not to go to a game. You can choose whether or not to even have cable and watch the stuff on television. You can choose to totally avoid it. If you don't want to donate a dime to the National Football League, you don't have to.
Right, but do you think it might help if we did organize?
Fans?
Yes.
No.
No. Not
at all.
Well,
what are you going to do?
I'm not sure, but if we organized and we got our money and our resources together, we could.
You don't have to do that.
How many games? Have some sort of input in.
Wait a second. Well, wait a minute. Now let's cut to the chase here. What is it about the NFL CBA talks that's got you bugged? Who are you mad at?
It just made me think when you said that the people paying the salaries,
right,
the taxpayers. It made me think about the NFL and the fans that are paying the salaries. Maybe I'm wrong here, but it hit me as a similar analogy.
Well, yeah, but it's all elective when it comes to the fans of the NFL. Even, you can say, okay, well, the NFL has licensed sponsors, such as Reebok. Well, fine, but you don't have to go buy Reebok equipment. And if you don't, you're not contributing to anything, owner or player of the NFL. But your taxes, you have no choice.
Well, you don't have to live in Wisconsin either.
No, but choosing to not buy a ticket to a football game or whatever is a little bit more realistic than choosing to leave Wisconsin. But no matter where you go in this country, you have to pay taxes. And in almost every state, you are paying public sector government workers with your taxes, not just at the state. You're paying your local employee. You're paying everybody with your tax dollars.
You just got me going, made me think about this NFL thing for some reason. But I just thought maybe it might be a decent idea for the fans to get a little representation somehow.
Well, let's explore this. I don't mind the thinking here. If you think about it, if you want some representation here, like the governor was the representation for taxpayers in Wisconsin. So you've got the players and the owners. They're meeting ostensibly the final time today before the lockout, unless there's another extension at 5 o'clock today. So if there were a fan representative there representing you and the rest of the fans, what's the case that representative would make?
Well, on what sort of issues that they might be stuck on, and that the people that are really going to be impacted a lot as well are the fans. So I thought maybe we might be able to mediate, being on some of the negotiations.
Well,
I don't know. I thought with all that money, all our pool of resources, we might be able to do something with some sort of representation.
Okay, well, let me try it this way. What do you want to happen in these football negotiations? You want the game to be played, right? You don't want to. So you don't want a lockout. You don't want a lockout. So you want free agency. You want the draft. The draft's going to happen. You want it all. You want the stuff so you want these two sides to come together,
right?
And come to an agreement. So you think
seems like there's three sides. I don't know.
Well, there's actually more than that. How about the poor people that work at the concession stands on an NFL Sunday? How about, for example, all of these guys that own sports bars? I have to tell you, a sports bar owner will tell you that football season is his most profitable. I don't want to hear this Final Four, college basketball garbage, the NFL, and college football in the fall are what make a sport. Don't give me World Cup. Now, another thing, how about the Vegas casinos? How about the sports books? Look at all the money bet on football. Look at all this stuff that's going to go dark.
Well, I'm just offering up an idea for some of these people, an umbrella to get under to make sure that we can get this out, without a lockout. I don't know, maybe we can get the bar owners and the workers together and maybe donate some money, get some in there, get some, I don't know how it works, Russ.
Yeah, but not all the fans are going to be united. Some of the fans are going to be on the players' side. Some of the fans are going to be on the owners' side. Just assuming that the fans are all going to be aligned into one way of thinking is also a little fallacious. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is the NFL? Snerdley wants to know who I think is at fault. I don't look at this as anybody being at fault. This is just a dispute. At some point, it's going to get resolved. At some point, it's going to settle. And I'll tell you who's going to lose. The players. The player, they're facing a loaded gun. They don't, at the end of the day, have a prayer. The owner of the Seattle Seahawks has a 414-foot yacht. The owner of the Seattle Seahawks could support the other owners for a year or two if he wanted to, while the players, nobody on the players has a 414-foot yacht. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying at the end of the day here, and I don't mean this in a cutting way, but the owners have the ability to outlast the players. The owners have to be concerned about what this guy's calling about. If this goes on way long and it appears that these guys are selfish and the press is able to convince people that these billionaires are just greedy and they really don't care anything but themselves, could they lose a lot of the fan base? Who knows? Baseball went without the World Series. I mean, they had a walkout, they had a strike, they went without the World Series. It took steroids to get people back into that game. You might not like hearing that. You might not like it. Took steroids and human growth hormone to make that game exciting enough to get fans back. Well, look, I just tell you what the truth is. You go on strike and you cause the World Series not to be played, and they got it back. Their stadiums are full now. They're doing new stadiums are popping up. But the NFL's number one. The NFL has taken over as the quote-unquote national pastime. Frankly, I don't think the owners think the fans are going to go anywhere. I think at some point the owners know the fans. Let me tell you what the owners are more worried about than anything else, folks. I want to tell you right now, it's high-definition TV, 60-inch screens. They're worried it's much easier than going to the stadium.